My friends, though our fleeting lives may seem to ride the cresting tides of forces beyond our control, there remains an inviolable refuge where we reign as undisputed sovereigns, the inner dominion of our judgment, emotions, and conscious responses. No errant swell or tempest has been purchased to divert us there. It is this fastness of the mind that the philosophy of Stoicism most exhorts us to fortify and exercise supreme governance over. By etching transcendent reason and acceptance into our core operating codes, we alchemize each squall of adversity into tempering gusts that harden our characters into unbowed equanimity. The governance of self lays the foundation for all outward aims, be they excellence pursued through profession or reciprocal bonds with fellows on the shared human voyage. Join me in mastering these timeless Stoic tactics for shepherding our circumstances with unflappable lucidity and resilience. Through the steady implementation of their anchoring principles, we elevate from weathered driftwood into beaconing philosophers impervious to any deluge. Before we begin, I would appreciate your support. Don't forget to click like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any posts. If you like the theme of this video, please comment +1, and if you don't like it, then comment 0. We look forward to hearing your feedback. Number 1. Seek challenges. My friends, if you wish to discover the true extent of your abilities and fortify your character, you must seek out challenges that pull you from the warm comforts of complacency. For how can a fertile field bring forth a bountiful harvest if the soil is never turned and the seeds never planted? Just as the blazing sun and resilient roots are required for crops to flourish, so too must we purposefully expose ourselves to difficulty in order to achieve mastery over our impulses and reactions. Would you have the strength to stand unwavering amid life's inevitable storms if you never first braved the winds of adversity? Challenges provide the fertile training ground upon which we cultivate poise, resilience, and virtue. By venturing beyond the limiting bounds of our past experiences, we expand our consciousness of what is possible. Each obstacle overcome reveals new reservoirs of fortitude. Each fear stared down emboldens us further. What larger challenge have you been avoiding out of trepidation? What ambition lies dormant, stifled by comfort and complacency? Awaken that sleeping potential by putting it to the crucible of struggle, for in that refiner's fire, you will forge an unshakable command of your judgments, desires, and actions, the qualities of a person truly self-mastered. Seek out challenges not to prove yourself to others, but to discover the substantive gold buried within your own character. This conveys the key ideas around seeking challenges through rich metaphors of agricultural growth and metalworking, connecting it to building resilience, poise, and virtue. The rhetorical questions engage the reader in self-reflection on what challenges they may be avoiding. Does this capture the tone and content you had in mind? Let me know if you need any revisions. Number 2. Choose your influence. Take heed of the character of those you allow closest to your heart and mind, for they inevitably shape your beliefs, habits, and aspirations. Just as those who spend their days in tanneries emerge reeking of leather and animal hides, so too do we take on the colors and fragrances of the company we keep. Who among your circle invigorates your enthusiasm for growth, virtue, and truth? Whose example provokes you to live with greater intention and ethical fortitude? These are the souls to draw close like sages and guides upon your life's journey. But just as the sweet aromas of jasmine and rose uplift, so can the stenches of laziness, vice, and folly intoxicate all who linger too long in their midst. Survey your friendships and associations with a crisp, critical eye. Do they buoy you toward your highest ideals and aspirations? Or do their ways erode your grasp on reason, like water slowly dissolving granite? Intentionally cultivate relationships with those rare souls who illuminate the path of wisdom and fill your minds with the uplifting winds of truth. The key ideas cover how our influences shape us, the importance of choosing uplifting and growth-oriented friends, mentors, and being discerning about negative influences that can degrade our values and reason over time. Let me know if you need any revisions. Number 3. Focus on your response. While we cannot always dictate the circumstances and events that shape the terrain of our lives, we remain forever the architects of how we respond to them. Do we crumble at the arrival of failure and struggle like saplings in a windstorm? Or do we endure with grit and poise, our roots drinking deeply from adversity's rains to be fortified against future squalls? The choice is ever ours, for whether our efforts succeed or falter, our power remains undiminished to meet each situation with reasoned judgment, steadfast ethical principles, and an unwavering commitment to continual growth. When blustering misfortunes howl through the corridors of our lives, we need not be swept away in their furious winds. We can stand anchored, allowing the tempests passing while focused on molding our reactions with intention and care. In this way, we author the most crucial narrative of all, the story of our own character's development. A life deeply lived paints its portrait not through the physical events experienced, but through the evolving wisdom, virtue, and resilience expressed amid them. So I ask you, in your latest tempest of misfortune or failure, did your response demonstrate the judgment and excellence you seek to embody? Number 4. Say yes to what matters. To live a life of virtue and wisdom, we must be uncompromising gatekeepers over which pursuits and obligations we allow to pass the threshold of our time and energy. For just as a sculptress's masterpiece emerges only by strategically chiseling away the inessential, so too must we cut away the trivial and purposeless in order to reveal our grandest selves. What momentary distractions or habitual time wasters have you blindly welcomed into your days like home-wrecking guests? Do they line up with your deepest values and long-range aspirations? Or are they loiterers, luring you from your highest potential through inertia and lack of intention? Scrutinize each commitment and routine with the lens of your life's purpose. Only by pruning back the non-essential branches can we focus our finite stores of effort on what matters most. Envision the masterpiece of life you wish to create, then extend your energies fully in its devoted sculpting. Any achievement of substance requires sustained and concentrated toil, the antithesis of a divided mind spread thin. I urge you to take stock. Where are you saying yes, merely out of complacency, while your deepest dreams and virtues lay fallow? Breathe life into what matters by stripping away the superfluous. Your grandest potential awaits your valorous focus. Number 5. Be a master of yourself. The path to an empowered and tranquil life begins with this sobering truth. You cannot command circumstance, but you can command yourself. While external events will endlessly rise and fall like unpredictable tides, your innermost decisions, judgments, and desires remain sovereign territories under your jurisdiction alone. Mastering this internal dominion is the supreme accomplishment. But how to rein in the unruly horses of our impulses, emotions, and habits that so often run rampant, dragging us hither and thither? Through the rigorous forging of self-discipline, this gleaming sword allows us to slice through delusion and compulsion. By bringing conscious willpower to each decision and action, we slowly shed the shackles of mindless reaction like rusted chains. With this newfound rule over our internal kingdom, we alchemize suffering into resilience, fear into courage, and weakness into unshakable fortitude. No longer adrift at the mercy of unpredictable squalls, we become captains steering our lives by the celestial lights of reason and principle. In what areas of your life do you experience being undisciplined or at the mercy of compulsive thoughts and behaviors? Where can you practice casting off the heavy anchors of delusion to more intentionally chart your own wise course? Number 6. Protect your time. Of all life's boundless riches, none is more invaluable yet fleeting than time itself. Wealth may ebb and flow, but each day's delicate hourglass grains are unique fortunes never to be regained once spilled into eternity's vault. How greatly we squander these cherished sands on the trivial and momentary, dawdling hours misspent like profligate heirs frittering away their inheritance. Where do your days bleed away into distractions and lassitudes that leave you dumbfounded at day's end? These petty trifles are merciless brigands, emboldened by our heedlessness to plunder the peak years of our finite lifespans. Declare war on such wastefulness by fiercely guarding your attentions and hours as a pruned vineyardist defends their fecund terraces. For while no fortune can purchase a single extra day, conscious intention blossoms each hour into sustenance for your truest longings and aspirations. With a disciplined reverence for the preciousness of time, we alchemize a drab routine into lives gilded by the mindful pursuit of wisdom, growth, and savored presence. What thieves and vagabonds are laying siege to your time's sacred citadel? Identify them by name, then decisively raise the drawbridges to reclaim the fortress of your focus and energies. Number 7. Do the hard things. To recoil from life's inevitable hardships and difficulties is to stunt our flourishing like a seedling turning from the sun. For just as the ray's beams coax a plant towards sturdiness and resilience, so too do challenges forge human beings into their most robust, capable selves. Each trial endured burnishes our judgment, fortitude, and commitment to ethical excellence. Struggle cannot be escaped, but can be embraced as an arena for the sculpting of our characters. Do you shy from the rigors of sustained effort, emotional resilience, or discomfort like a trembling sapling in the winds? Or do you defiantly thrust your roots down into the gale, deriving sustenance from its very blast to rise stronger on the morrow? Rather than seeking paltry shelters, erect the unassailable bulwarks of self-discipline, grit, and reason within your mind. For when confronted by the tempests of injury, injustice, or failure, only those citadels can safeguard you from being toppled. Where in your life have you adopted the coward's crouch, ill-prepared for the storm's onslaught? Identify that tender portion of your philosophy still hungering for fortification. Then seek out its stress testers, and like a weightlifter with each punishing rep, enduringly reshape your character into one of unshakable resilience. Number 8. Make others better. We are all inscribed into the same great soul that animates the cosmos. Our individual flourishings remain intimately intertwined, like roots dispersing water and nutrients throughout an ancient tree. To awaken and elevate our own character is a virtuous aim, yet an incomplete one. For in nurturing the blossoming of those around us, we exponentially magnify the beauty and wisdom ascending through humanity's branches. Look upon each person you encounter as a sapling worthy of your tender cultivation and care. What are the unique talents and latent potentials lying dormant within them, waiting to be coaxed into full bloom by your attention? With a smile, an insight, a resonant example, Deploy the rays of your own realizations to warm the seeds of their growth. For just as a fragrant garden brims with cross-pollination between its flowers, so do the best versions of ourselves emerge in conversation and relation with others. We become more expansive and more alive when dedicating our efforts toward ripening one another's circumstances for thriving. Who has recently kindled a newfound flourishing within you through their generosity of spirit? And whose untapped light has your own beam been too miserly in attempting to ignite? Identify both those who enrich your unfolding and those whom your present self has prematurely abandoned as lost causes. Number 9. Practice gratitude. While the unbridled pursuit of wealth and status may be a fountain of perpetual disappointment, the humble cherishing of life's smallest blessings is an ever-replenishing wellspring of peace and fulfillment. Whether our fortunes rise or fall, we remain solvent in sufficiency whenever we inventory the unassuming treasures perpetually at hand. What effortless miracles do you bear witness to with each new dawn? The kiss of a loved one's smile, the kaleidoscopic cast of a morning sky, the miracle of a breathing body propelling you through another gifted day. These are precious currencies too often spent absent-mindedly, neglected riches lying about our feet. Cast your gaze outward upon each moment as a visitor, newly arrived to this resplendent existence. What straightforward beauties, freedoms, and simple provisions suddenly glimmer with wondrous importance. Far from disregarding the commonplace, we uncover the extraordinary within it. With hearts reverentially attuned to life's lavish bounties, our spirits become inoculated against festering anxieties. A grateful perspective furnishes an impregnable rationality. If we can feel genuinely blessed amid our modest means, how could fortunes improve upon contentment? This is wealth eternal, impervious to any reversal. What seemingly small graces have you disregarded in your midst today? Recover them like salvaged heirlooms, for in our appreciative stewardship, the riches of the universe become inextinguishable. Number 10. Embrace continuous learning. To forsake the perpetual acquiring of knowledge and experiences is to confine ourselves to a restrictive cell whose walls perpetually shrink inward. For if we content ourselves with past learnings and accomplishments alone, our finite wisdom inevitably desiccates into obsolescence as the world's circumstances and our soul's needs evolve. Only an enduring lifestyle of growth can future-proof our adaptability and resilience. Does the caterpillar, upon weaving itself into its silken tomb, declare, "Enough transformation for me"? It instead ventures forth through metamorphosis into new incarnations, perfectly suited for thriving in fresh seasons and circumstances. We, too, must unfurl renewed embodiments of ourselves to flourish amid the gusting changes guaranteed by human existence. Let curiosity be your scout, ranging ever over fertile new territories of understanding, whether gained through an unfamiliar book, mastering an unprecedented skill, or first-hand adventures into novel perspectives. Fresh wisdom fortifies our supple intellects against sclerotic habits and blinding biases. They bestow flexibility in our circumstances and uplift our perspectives to soar above stagnant ruts. I ask you, what boundary of your current self-imposed mental enclosure have you neglected to dismantle? What new terrain of fertile teachings and insights are you failing to pilgrimage toward? Be a lifelong discoverer, permitting no rigid attitudes or stale routines to ring-fence the possibilities of your continually emergent and transcendent selfhood. Number 11. Embrace vulnerability. To bear our authentic selves to the world requires the raw courage of a newborn pushing its way from the womb into harsh light. Yet, in this visceral act of vulnerability, lies the startling beauty of our shared humanity. For, in daring to disrobe our insecurities and imperfections, we invite others to unveil their own tender realities. Genuine connection blossoms like spring bulbs through topsoil in these fertile moments of mutual transparency. Why harbor so fiercely the burden of appearing perpetually gilded and inviolable? That polished facade is the soul's tomb, isolating your deepest essence from communion with fellow seekers striving to love and be loved. Have you the bravery to unmask yourself, faults and all? To unfurl your half-lived confessions and receive another's wholeheartedly in return? From this soil of rawness, the perennials of empathy, belonging, and shared wonderment take vigorous root. What unseen virtues or talents have you shackled behind the barricades of projected ideals, agonizing alone in their imprisonment? Set them free through your courageous self-disclosure, and be astonished by their sudden brilliance. What selves still clamor for emancipation from your imposed exiles of concealment? What bond cries out to deepen through your daring display of candor? Vulnerability bears the torch that illuminates our wisest, most noble selves. Number 12. Cultivate resilience through adversity. What short-sighted souls are those who lament misfortune's obstructions, blind to their providential role in fortifying our resilience? Just as the tempered blade is strengthened by repeated cycles of heating and quenching, so too must we be annealed by life's inevitable fires. Each tempering confrontation is an initiation into deeper reserves of perseverance and unconquerability. The path of perpetual ease and comfort is a primrose one, luring the unwitting with deceptive fragrance while arresting all substantive growth. For it is the callous hand of adversity that chisels our characters into their most formidable embodiments. Like the sapling strained by whipping winds, we are molded into unshakable statures by embracing difficulty head-on. So let each impediment, each crisis of circumstance, be grasped as an honored mentor for developing unassailable poise and grit. Disappointment, heartache, failure, these catalytic events are profound teachers when we greet their lessons with pragmatic resolve rather than surrender. With each storm successfully weathered, we emerge into brightened seas as more acquittal navigators. On what present trial are you stubbornly fixating as an unmerited burden rather than a tailor-made exercise for evolving fortitude? Reframe each adversity from affliction into your celestial curriculum. For only in gazing upon Jupiter's brilliance will your own inner orbit elevate. Number 13. Practice the art of reflection. What short-sighted souls are those who lament misfortune's obstructions, blind to their providential role in fortifying our resilience? Just as the tempered blade is strengthened by repeated cycles of heating and quenching, so too must we be annealed by life's inevitable fires. Each tempering confrontation is an initiation into deeper reserves of perseverance and unconquerability. The path of perpetual ease and comfort is a primrose one, luring the unwitting with deceptive fragrance while arresting all substantive growth. For it is the callous hand of adversity that chisels our characters into their most formidable embodiments. Like the sapling strained by whipping winds, we are molded into unshakable statures by embracing difficulty head-on. So let each impediment, each crisis of circumstance, be grasped as an honored mentor for developing unassailable poise and grit. Disappointment, heartache, failure, these catalytic events are profound teachers when we greet their lessons with pragmatic resolve rather than surrender. With each storm successfully weathered, we emerge into brightened seas as more acquittal navigators. On what present trial are you stubbornly fixating on an unmerited burden Rather than a tailor-made exercise for evolving fortitude, reframe each adversity from affliction into your celestial curriculum. For only in gazing upon Jupiter's brilliance will your own inner orbit elevate. This covers the Stoic principle of using life's inevitable difficulties and obstacles as opportunities to develop resilience, grit, and tested character strength. It uses vivid metaphors of sword-making, sailing, navigating, and celestial movement to make this idea more visceral and inspiring. The ending prompts the reader to reframe their perspective on current challenges. Let me know if any revisions would improve this. Number 14. Cultivate a robust mindset. The stout trunks of towering oaks were once but tenuous seedlings, their lofty heights defined by each upward inch stubbornly conquered. So too is the panorama of our lives verdantly sculpted by the ever-ascending trajectories of our dominant thoughts and assumptions. A mindset demolished by every tempest inevitably bears but thorny, stunted fruits, while a perspective continuously edified, watered by reason, and pruned of negativity's blight. This is the fertile laudanum from which personal greatness effloresces. It's not what happens to you, but how you react that matters. How firmly rooted are you in this elemental truth? When gale-force misfortunes threaten to uproot you, do you sheepishly upbraid the circumstances as unjust and wallow inert? Or do you stoically reinforce your grip and elevate your gaze to the opportunity-rich skyline, resolving to grow even more formidably resilient? The latter is the nourishing sap flow that transmutes every impediment into empowerment. See each unruly obstruction not as an encumbrance, but as the universe's exercising prunings, fortifying the musculature of your mettle. With this suppleness of perspective, you remain evergreen while stagnant thinkers petrify into fossilized captives of their own implacably crippling mindsets. What limiting undergrowths are currently shading and stunting your mindset's verdant ascendance? What precipitating weeds require deft extraction to unlock your unrealized growth potential? Plant ineradicable roots in the verities that every obstacle is an opportunity for perseverance fully expressed, and therein will bloom the most breathtaking versions of your aspirational self. Number 15. Live in alignment with your values. While untold strivings clamor for our fealty, wealth, status, pleasures temporal, the sole pursuit meriting life's fullest devotion is the modeling of one's actions into congruence with deeply held virtues and principles. As Seneca reminds us, wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for a crisis. It is this foundational value structure that avails the stoutest bulwarks when crises inevitably breach circumstances. For what is the person unarmored by clarion ethics and steadfast purposefulness, but a leaf desperate descending autumn's winds? They are whipped and tossed between fortune's shifting gales, never establishing roots able to withstand the elements. In cultivating principles upheld as sacred responsibilities, however, we forge unassailable courtholds where our souls find long-standing sanctuary. From this bedrock core, our thoughts, words, and deeds acquire an adamantine coherence that permits no complacent lapsing into convenience or appetite. We become living allegories, each ensouled decision and sacrifice, testifying to the primacy of our credos over expedience. This unshakable alignment, adhered to in prosperity and dire hardship, is the stuff that transmutes destined mortals into personages of timeless renown. Which of your professed values do your recent key choices appear to openly demean or contradict? Where have you permitted mere appetite or inertia to corrode your devotion to your godliest tenets? Rededicate your actions in unswerving fidelity to your core philosophy's promptings, and witness how its scepter of steely resilience and peace crowns your every breath and circumstance. Our travels together through these timeless Stoic principles have aimed at one paramount objective: to outfit your innermost philosophies with the armor required for achieving unwavering self-mastery. We've studied how to thrive rather than merely endure amidst misfortune's blows by welcoming adversities as temper-strengthening guides. We've discovered the prerequisites for nurturing robustly adaptable mindsets and resilient spirit constitutions impervious to life's prevailing winds. Armed now with this distilled fortification for governing your judgments, reactions, and intentionality from a position of reasoned sovereignty, no obstacle can dismantle your tranquility or deflect your trajectory toward maximizing virtuous excellence. I implore you to enshrine these teachings by generously showcasing your newfound Stoic aptitudes through comments, shares, and humble testimonies of personal growth. And may today's Wisdom Campfire mark only your first footsteps on an ever-lengthening Stoic trail.